Hi there, Wycliffe Barrett, Xplane dedicated. Today we're going to look at the FlyJsim Q4XP-8 Q400 from Bombardier. Full disclosure, this aircraft was provided to me for review from Xplane.org, and as such they've had no input on the content of this video or anything I may say good or bad about this aircraft. Excellent aircraft. It's been in development for years now. I remember Jack from FlyJsim actually broadcasting some of his development work on Twitch, and so the level of detail is incredible. I mean, look at these propellers here, the propeller blades are perfect. So Jack has spent an awful long time putting this aircraft together. At least 3 years ago I saw some of those videos, so I know that this has been in development for at least 3 years, maybe a little bit longer, after the incredible success of the 737 Twinjet. Here you can see the J-pad, which is a wonderful kind of electronic flight bag which allows you to sort out the weights, your passengers, fuel, settings, etc. Absolutely incredible. And this aircraft brings a whole meaning, kind of new experience to flying in the flight simulator. It's got a maximum range of 1100 miles. It can land on runways only 4,000 feet in length and take off on 4,000 feet of runway, which makes it ideal for steep approaches. Also, it can land on gravel and paved runways, which makes it brilliant for bush flying in Canada or Australia. An excellent aircraft for flying into those regional airports around Europe, Switzerland, northern Italy, etc. Absolutely superb. And the level of detail with the 4K PBR textures, superb. Some of the marks that you can see in the cockpit, little scratches, areas of the cockpit which would get worn from constant use, knees banging against bulkheads, etc. Absolutely superb. Excellent cabin, and as you can see here on the J-pad, you can actually load in passengers, and if you click on the passenger, you'll see their boarding pass details. And you can have fast load or long load, and you'll see the passengers coming in one by one. There they all are, all the different colours. If I was to click on each one of them, the boarding pass would come up with their name and details, etc. It's just absolutely wonderful, the level of detail. Look at the rivets around the door there, and you can see the ripples in the skin of the aircraft, so nothing has been left out. The sunshades in the cabin, you can close them. The landing lights there have got the glass covers on, so you can see, you can actually see that, and this detailed shaping of the cowl, the intake here, and the APU exhaust. You can even see creases in the skin here, up on the tail section, and the rivets. Marvellous. The level of detail on the landing gear with all the hydraulic lines there and electrical lines going down into the gear and the brake, fabulous. And here's the cabin. Now, there's a real clever trick with this cabin, that if you have the cockpit door closed, the cabin does not get drawn behind you. So that saves on FPS. Let me say that again. If the cockpit door is closed, the cabin behind you doesn't get drawn, so saves on FPS. It's very, very clever. I've been told it's been implemented in other aircraft, but I've never seen it. It's not an easy aircraft to fly, believe me. I've struggled, and that's why this review has taken a little bit longer than normal, because it's a complete new way of flying, and I did have trouble, I must admit, and I've had help. I've had tutorial help, so to speak, to get this aircraft in the air. And you'll see, when I do a departure, takeoff, it is a beast. One thing I will say is that if you've got the thrustmaster throttle and side stick, it becomes very, very difficult to manage that. And it took a couple of nights of trying to figure out how to manage the throttles, because obviously the thrustmaster Airbus throttle quadrant is nothing like what you have in the Q4XP. So that did take a little bit of managing and getting it right, and as you'll see when I do this departure down here, you'll see what I mean. Just going through a couple of other things. All lights can be operated within the aircraft, within the within the cabin and within the cockpit, and you can alter the lights to however you want, so you can set the mood lighting for what you want. Now you see on the right hand side there, you've got that graphic that shows you where your throttle levers are and the control levers, and it takes some time setting that up, and there is, you need to set what they call a gust lock button, which releases the throttles through the gate. And even though I'd read that, I thought I had it set up right, I hadn't, and it does take a while to get that sorted out. But once you've done it, then it looks pretty dang good. Here you can see I just departed out of Cardiff. I was on my way up to Manchester. It was a fairly gloomy late afternoon, as you can see, but once out there, and I didn't put up the gear very quickly. I should have had the gear up, and I forgot, because there's an awful lot to do in this aircraft, an awful lot to do. But there you can see, flying into the murky evening with the gear up. As I say, all lights can be individually set, so setting the lights for your needs. The air stairs and air doors are fully illuminated, so making it safe to board the aircraft at night. There's an accurate rendition of the UNS 1EW FMS, and that is really strange because it's not a Boeing and it's not an Airbus, and the way that you program the FMS is entirely different from what you would expect. Highly unusual, really different. It took me a while to get to grips with that. All the electrical systems are fully realised within the aircraft. Flight controls and hydraulics are accurately modelled. And on top of all of that, you've got an F-mod sound pack, which has positioning 3D sound, which you can probably hear as we scroll around the aircraft on this departure. As I say, the J-pad is modelled in there, which is absolutely superb. It's just so much with this aircraft. Say, flight controls and hydraulics are an integral part of the flight experience. Pneumatic bleed air ice protection system has been simulated, included bleed air control panel, environmental control system. Indicating and recording systems include EFIS brightness, EFIS and ECID control panels, index control panel, AHRS control panel is so detailed, it is beyond. Just going on further, there's a whole range of liveries because a large number of airlines took this aircraft. So you've got Air Iceland, Air Baltica, Berlin, Alaska, ANA, Austrian, British European, WestJet, Eurowings, Flybe, Air Canada. There's just countless liveries, and you get a large number of those as well with the aircraft. You see me flying into Manchester here in the evening, and you can see that the cockpit there is nicely lit, and I hadn't adjusted any of the lighting. I just, it's kind of default. Look at this wonderful view here, looking back over the left engine coming into Manchester. Overall, this aircraft is absolutely superb. I highly recommend it, but you need to know how much it costs, and you might consider that it's not cheap. It actually works out at around about, if I can find my prices, I think it was something like $79.95 US. Yeah, $79.95 US. In the UK, that would be around about 50 something pounds. I did write it down, and I've lost it where I wrote it. I wrote it down on a piece of paper, and I've lost my piece of paper with that on. But as I say, $79.95. You can work that out for your local currency. Well, I hope you enjoyed the aircraft. I hope you enjoyed the review. It's absolutely brilliant. This is Wycliffe Barrett, Xplane Dedicated. We'll see you soon. Take care. Cheerio.